quality levels. Nigeria Governors Forum has assured Nigerians and the organized labor that better minimum wage will result from ongoing negotiations. The governors, who had previously rejected the federal government's proposal of 62,000 naira, stating that some states would need to borrow money to pay the salaries. Despite this, organized labor continues to demand a wage of 250,000 naira. The governors chose to hold an emergency meeting after the Federal Executive Council postponed the minimum wage discussion to allow President Bola Tinubu to conduct broader consultations. According to a communique released after an emergency meeting by the forum, discussed the new national minimum wage and agreed to continue engaging with key stakeholders to reach a mutually acceptable solution. The federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities have held a meeting to avert an industrial action by the union. The ASU president, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, said in Abuja that the meeting was necessary as the present administration had spent 1 year in office without addressing issues affecting the university system. Both sides expressed optimism that with the commencement of negotiations, all outstanding issues would be amicably resolved. The union had threatened to embark on strike over various issues, but speaking with our correspondent after the meeting with the Education Minister, Tahir Mahama Oshodoke, said that the negotiation process had begun and hoped the minister will follow up on what had been agreed on. Oshodoke explained that both parties were asked to set up committees to look into the 10 demands as listed in a letter it wrote to the federal government on Monday. He revealed that they will meet the government in 2 weeks for another review. Over 13,000 livestock farmers in Ondo State have been inculcated into the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support (ELPRES) project, an intervention of the World Bank through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to liberate the livestock sector of the country. The state project coordinator, Olufemi Adegun, read off the statistics during a presentation of the progress performance in the state to the World Bank representatives and the National Coordinator Office of the project, who were in Ondo State for assessment exercise. Osrc's Joy Pius reports that one of the objectives of the project is to strengthen the country's capacity to respond to farmers-herders conflicts in Nigeria.
According to government estimates, Nigeria consumes 360,000 tons of beef each year, accounting for half of all West Africa. Nigeria is experiencing a historic demographic expansion and a spectacular change in food habits. With a population growth nearing 2.8% per year, the country's domestic production is far from being able to meet demand. Amidst the growing population is the challenge of grazing, facing nomadic cattle herders from the north, leading to influx of the herders in the south, a major trigger of farmer-herder clashes. Cattle is a major source of meat in the country. The Livestock Productivity and Resilience Supports ELPRES project team, which comprises the World Bank team, led by the task team leader, Dr. Manivel Sene, and the National Project Coordinator, Dr. Sanusi Abubakar, are in Ondo State on the third implementation support mission of the project. Briefing the team on the progress of the project in Ondo State, the project coordinator, Olufemi Adeogun, noted that the State Coordination Office has profiled over 13,000 beneficiaries who are livestock farmers, as well as processors and marketers of the selected value chains of poultry, pig, sheep, and goats farmers in the state. Adeogun said the State's Coordination Office has also constituted grievances redress committee across the 18 local government areas of the state to address various crises among herders and farmers. According to him, designs for the construction of artificial insemination center, veterinary diagnostic laboratory, abattoir incinerator center, establishment of sheep and goat markets to help boost production and resilience of livestock in the state are all in place.
We are going to work with 3 value chains: poultry, sheep and goats, and pig. And all those farmers, they are going to be benefited, either they are producer, processors, or marketers.
Reacting to the development, the task team leader of the World Bank, Dr. Manivel Sene, and the National Project Coordinator, Dr. Sanusi Abubakar, stated that considering the onboarding of a state, the implementation progress is still on course. However, identifying areas to improve upon to achieve success.
We are not expecting much activities actually on ground. It's just for us to ginger them up so that they can have a smooth takeoff. And I think so far so good, they are having a smooth takeoff.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, Foluke Tunde Daramola, assured of speedy implementation of the project.
They have enlightened us the more, we've been educated the more, and we're going back home to do the needful. So it cannot but succeed.
Earlier, the team had visited some farmers and facilities for first-hand information about livestock status in the state. El-Press is a 6-year World Bank-assisted project through the federal government's Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, with over 20 states, including Ondo State, subscribing to the project. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
With over 200 million people, Nigeria is witnessing a boom in demand for meat. There are, however, worries that the rising cost of cattle in the country may affect the affordability of beef for Nigerians. Osrc's Joy Pius again x-rays the development and reports that stakeholders in the value chain are lamenting the effect of the hiking cost of cattle on beef availability and affordability in the market. A report.
According to government estimates, Nigeria consumes 360,000 tons of beef each year, accounting for half of all West Africa. Nigeria is experiencing a historic demographic expansion and a spectacular change in food habits. With a population growth nearing 2.8% per year, the country's domestic production is far from being able to meet demand. Amidst the growing population is the challenge of grazing, facing nomadic cattle herders from the north, leading to influx of the herders in the south, a major trigger of farmer-herder clashes. Cattle is a major source of meat in the country, with many households consuming beef as alternative to chicken, pork, or others due to its relative affordability. The price of beef in the market has jacked up, creating worries among the masses.
If I buy 500 meat now, see, this one now, just 500 meat. If I do not go say, better give me this one too small.
In Akure, consumers lament the surging cost of beef, saying the development might take the meat out of the reach of common man.
A kilo of meat was being sold formerly for 4,000, but to my knowledge, the second day I had how much? Now it is 6,000 now. It really needs urgent attention. If not, you need to see the rate at which hunger are ravaging homes these days. Ravaging hungers everywhere.
200 naira, 500 naira, ẹ̀rí pé ó ti da 2,000, tó ti da 5,000. So kò sí nǹkan tá a lè mówó lọ́jà tó ṣe rà ń sìn. Tẹ́ bá dé ìdí ẹran báyìí kò ṣe rà. So So everything ló ti wọ́n.
Leadership of National Butchers Association in Akure South local government blamed the rising cost of beef on the increment in the cost of cattle, which they say is becoming unbearable.
Now the money of cow is too high. Now since 2 months ago, now the cow I buy like 250, 300. Now it's 500,000 naira. Now I consider making the people know with this thing. The situation is no good. It no pay us. Now if I get another business, I will leave it now to do another business. It's gone before. Now the business I will teach in almost 35 years. What I want to go to do now.
Bí a bá débi ẹran tá a ti ń rà níbi 400,000 tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ 350 tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ ó di 700 750 800 so ká tó sanwó abatíọ̀ ká tó san káà náà tó jẹ ká tó a ò rí nǹkan kan bẹ̀ ẹran tí à ń ta kò fẹ́ sẹ́ran 1,000 mọ́ àwọn èèyàn dẹ̀ fẹ́ jẹ ẹran wọ́n máa láǹfẹ́ ẹran 500 adẹ́n sàlàyé fún wọn pé ọjà àwọ̀ ò bọ́jà 500 mọ́ ẹran gan 1,000 gan kò jọjúmọ́.
The butchers solicit the intervention of government at all levels to address the bottlenecks in the interest of the public. Joy Pius, OSRC News.
The Nigerian Correctional Service says custodial centers nationwide are free of cholera. He said the routine hygienic measures put in place in the correctional centers had helped to keep cholera out. The NCOS spokesman Abubakar Umar said this as the country battles to contain a recent surge in cholera cases across 31 states. Umar emphasized that the NCOS had a healthcare system encompassing various medical professionals and consistent medical supplies, noting that severe medical cases are referred to government hospitals for further treatment. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention said the country had recorded 1,528 suspected cases of cholera and 53 deaths in 31 states across 107 local government areas. 2 Bolivian army leaders have been arrested after soldiers and tanks took up position in front of government buildings in what President Luis Arce called an attempted coup. The troops and tanks entered Plaza Murillo, a historic square where the presidency and Congress are situated, in the afternoon, prompting global condemnation of an attack on democracy. One of the tanks tried to break down a metal door of the presidential palace. Surrounded by soldiers and 8 tanks, the now dismissed Army Chief General Juan Jose Zuniga said the armed forces intend to restructure democracy to make it a true democracy and not one run by the same few people for 30, 40 years. Zuniga was captured and forced into a police car as he addressed reporters outside a military barracks. For nearly 50 months, Evan Gashkovich have been locked away in a Moscow jail. Today, the Wall Street Journal reporter goes on a trial 1,000 kilometers from the Russian capital in Yekaterinburg, the city where he was arrested on espionage charges while on a reporting trip for the Wall Street Journal. Head shaving and wearing a check shirt and jeans, Mr. Gashkovich stands in a metal and glass cage known in Russian courtrooms as the aquarium. After a few minutes, we were asked to leave the room. From this point on, the trial will be held behind closed doors. Mr. Gashkovich, his employer, and the U.S. government vehemently reject the charge. If convicted, the maximum possible sentence is 20 years in prison. Junior hospital doctors in England have begun a 5-day strike a week before a general election in which the state of the publicly funded National Health Service is a major issue. It follows nearly a dozen similar actions by doctors below the specialist consultant level over the last 18 months. The NHS is grappling with a massive backlog caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and exacerbated by the repeated doctor strike, as well as delays to operations and starting cancer treatment. An increasingly dissatisfied public also face long waits to see a doctor at the local surgery. The doctors have been asking for 35% pay restoration as a starting position amid a cost of living crisis. And moving to sports, England have secured top spot in Group C in the European Championship despite again failing to fire at Euro 2024 as Slovenia also progressed to the knockout stages thanks to a 0-0 draw in Cologne. The Three Lions were already assured of a place in the last 16 but were booed off in Cologne and can expect more criticism after failing to improve on underwhelming performances in edging past Serbia and drawing with Denmark. England will have to wait until tonight's final group games to find out which of the 4 best third-place teams they will face in the last 16. And that ends Word at Noon. Many thanks for watching. Good afternoon.